What's going on, everybody? This is Nick from House of Paint 203, bringing you part 3 of the Goristro series. In parts 1 and 2, we based and mid-toned this 20-foot demon. And in this final part, we are going to be bringing him up to full completion. We have some final highlights to do on the fur and the face, as well as the horns and the gold. And of course, we have to bring out his base. So still a lot of stuff to do. Let's jump right in. As always, want to give a special shout out to friend of the show, Dominic Marriott, owner and founder of Credit UK, all the way across the pond in the UK. Dominic is a crafter of dice, dice trays, dice vaults, dice boxes, dice towers, you name it, Dominic makes it. And you should check out his stuff so that you can up your game at your gaming table today. Also, while you're here, be sure to smite like and slam subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the latest content I am putting out there in my quest to paint the manual. And of course, here we are, finishing up the Goristro. All right, first order of business for me is I'm going to touch up this tongue. I really just want to get the front portion, very subtle, very thin coat. That's a mix of Ruddy skin and Cambion crimson. Mouth is done. That was very quick. Now that the mouth is done, I'm going to go in on the teeth. I'm going to go over the teeth with a small base coat of Khaki. Nice thing. All right, cool. See if we need to come back to those horns now. I want to go into his face. This time I'm going to use a pure rosy shadow. The upper areas. All right, I think I'm gonna go in on the fur now officially. I have a mix of Cambion Crimson with orange fire and a splash of sepia wash. I'm gonna try to bring this up, especially around the shoulders here. And the head. I thought about using a dry brush, but I have fairly diluted paint on my brush and gave it a couple dabs on the paper towel. I'm really just picking my spots. All right, so to complete the highlight on his fur, I'm going to go in with an orange fire by itself. And I'm going to just graze the more upper areas of his fur. And what I mean by that is anywhere that is on like a ridge or like a shelf of muscle or something like that. It's just right here. I kind of drive home that look of orange. In the fur. I think for the fur here, I'm going to use a dry brush because I think I can get it. I want it a little bit more subtle on the fur of his stomach. So let me just see if I can get it that subtle. Tops of his legs. Now the monster manual also has him with like shading similar to flesh beneath his fur. So I'm going to try and see if I can match that. So I'm gonna also try a little dry brush on his chest region here. Top of his kneecaps too. I like it. Now I think what I'd like to do is go into his bracers a little bit. And I have kind of an idea that I want to utilize. It might fail miserably, but it might be awesome. So let's see how it goes. First thing I'm going to be doing with this method is to I'm going to make an orange ink by combining red inks and yellow inks. And I think I'm also going to dull this down just a hair with a drop of sepia wash. Mix this all together. What I want to try to do first here is add some tones to the bracer. Let that dry a touch. Now I'm going to take some polished gold and start highlighting the, I already did that to the bracer on the left arm, which is why I'm not switching over there. Just to make sure this still looks okay. So I'm gonna take some polished gold, which is a bit of a lighter gold, and I'm going to start to apply it to certain areas of the bracers here on the curves of the spikes. Now that that ink is dry on him, on his right bracer, I'm going to give it a little bit of a sepia wash. This is going to work to dull down those orangey tones, but also to fill in the grooves of his bracers as well. So give those a little while to dry, go back to the polished gold. Gonna just touch up the rings on his little chin beard. All right, so now that the main bracer is dry on his right arm, I'm gonna go in with a green ink on that bracer and give it kind of an aged and weathered look. So I'm kind of picking my spots here. I really don't want to go too in your face like that was. So I'm really looking to just kind of like dab around a little bit and kind of see the effect it's having. This is what I'm kind of going for on the other bracer right there, just to kind of give it the look like, you know, this guy's been using this thing for a while. Let that ink dry over there and go into the other bracer with some polished gold. Now for this bracer, I'm gonna look to bring up the edges, specifically of these ridges. Kind of just to find the edge. I'm going to find certain parts of the bracer, and I'm going to touch it up too with some polished gold. Make it look kind of worn. Like it's seen its share of dings and dents. I'm gonna move on from the bracers here and going to grab the horns once and for all. Go over that original that last layer of the heavy brown Otyugh brown mix and just go over it with a thin layer of just straight up Otyugh brown. So for his hands, I'm going to take my original base coat of heavy gray and I'm going to mix it with a stone gray. Go ahead and do the next hand as well. Right now I'm getting in on the hooves with the same mixture. You can see I already did this one. And I am just kind of defining the edge of the curvature. And just kind of following the streaks very lightly. Thin paint on the brush. There's only really one thing left to do, and that is touch up his base. So let's do it. As for the base, since I have it out and in the palette, I'm gonna go with a heavy gray, and I am just going to give the base a little overbrush. To really establish this stone that the Goristro is standing on here. I'm gonna make him appear to look like he's standing like on a mountainside. There is the dry brush right there, if you can see it. There we go. We'll give that a chance to dry. While that is drying, I'm gonna go with some Abyssal black. And I'm going to just touch up his nails, or his claws, I should say. I do have a bit of a pipeline coming up for the beginning of 2021 that should take me into the spring, March or April. But I am interested in hearing what all of you would like to see me paint. If you have something that you've been waiting to work on and you're looking for some inspiration, and you want to see me paint it, just give me a shout out in the comments. And can't guarantee exactly when I'll get to your suggested project, but I will definitely make it a point to get to it and even shout you out as the inspiration for that project. I do have several things in the pipeline, including we're going to be doing a young green dragon soon. We're going to be doing a Tarrasque, the Kraken, which is going to be a huge effort. We're going to be doing green sloth, zombie beholder, tree ant, just to name a few. So we do have several waiting in the wings, but we are obviously, I'm saying we, like there's more than one of us. I am waiting for, or I am always looking for some ideas and things that you'd like to see painted. So I'm gonna go back to that stone gray, heavy gray mix. And this time I'm going to use it as a dry brush, and then when all's said and done, I'll go into the base with just a pure stone gray. See that? So I can come out a little bit more. Kind of want to make this look like he's standing on kind of like a mountainside. So might be putting a little grass, or might be doing some stuff with tufts going down at the base, because there's really not going to be a lot of base left after I glue him down on the table stand. That's what I call these. I don't know if it's really the right term, but I might put him off to the side like this and leave this area for the tufts. I'll go in now at the final highlight of the stone gray, and you can really see that stone gray starting to really bring out the color. There. It's time for gluing them down. All right, so the first thing I did before I glued him down was I laid some glue down on his base here, and I sprinkled some field grass over it, and I measured out. I set them down where I knew I was going to put them, and I went ahead and put a few different tufts on there. So now I'm going to just lay some glue around the tufts, set them in place. I'm gonna hold them. I don't even have to really press hard to get them on there, because this glue is actually really strong. So there he is, the Goristro. On the base right here, I have a few different types of tufts, and I will put those tufts in the description as well, but I can point them out to you here. I have swamp grass, which is the darker tuft. I have summer grass, which is the or summer tufts, which is the green tuft right here. I have dry tufts, which is kind of like the orangish yellowish tufts right there, and these I believe they're jungle tufts, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll get clarification on the names in case I butchered any of them. And we can, that way you can see I wanted it to look like he was kind of walking around on like a mountainside or something of that sort. So there we go, the Goristro. And as always, I thank you for joining me. Information on how to follow me on all my social media platforms is immediately following the video, as is information on how to follow Dominic Maria of Credit UK. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.